Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to an ESPN NFL 2K5 franchise rebuild with the Detroit Lions. This is Peanuts 24/7 coming back at you, and we've got two big games this week. We're 7-5 as we take a look at the previous week's results. We see Kansas City finally loses, getting a second loss on the season. As we jump down, we did beat Tampa Bay in that first frame in there from the last game. Looking down here, I'm not seeing any NFC North, although our next opponent, St. Louis, did get a victory last week against San Francisco. And down at the bottom, Chicago is victorious over Green Bay. So we're going to be needing to get this win, and we're still going to be without the services of some of those key players. As you can see, our injury report here, Teddy Lehman, Azahir Hakeem, Deshaun Foster, and our rookie Sam Farmer all out as we take a look at our upcoming opponent, the St. Louis Rams, and their starting quarterback, Mark Bulger, having a pretty good year, and you'll see why he's having a pretty good year, because this man has weapons. His first weapon is in the backfield in the form of the veteran, Marshall Faulk. He's backed up by Steven Jackson, who's mostly in the kick return and maybe reception game, but Marshall Faulk is the starter. And in his second season, Torrey Holt has ballooned up to a 99 overall. He's also backed up by Isaac Bruce, who is no slouch himself, as we'll see. And they have an elite tackle on the left side protecting Mark Bulger in Orlando Pace. You can see that 93 overall, 94 pass blocking, a strong left side on there, but no elite players on the defensive end. So we'll see if we can take advantage of that. And they will be without DeJuan Gross for this game, one of their cornerbacks out for one more week with back spasms. You can see here our two upcoming games, both strong teams at the tops of their division. That Minnesota Vikings game is one to look forward to for sure. But first we have the St. Louis Rams, who, we're struggling a little bit with the injuries. Not as strong of a stats team as we would hope, but we lined up against these Rams better than you would have thought looking at their players. And before we get going, we want to make sure that you're smashed up on that sub button. Thank you so much to everyone who has subscribed so far. We're on the way to those 250 subscribers. I'd be honored if you were one of those next subscribers to the channel. Let's get right into it. Rams versus Lions. We are headed right back to Detroit, Michigan. Ford Field is the site on this beautiful Sunday afternoon as the St. Louis Rams are in town to take on our Detroit Lions. The faithful here in Detroit are ready and raring to go. Always excited, always a great crowd here in Detroit, ready to cheer on their Lions. And the Lions are there getting hyped themselves, trying to get another win in their column. We're 7-5 overall, as we mentioned. Getting into that 8-5 overall would help us in the division for sure. 1st and 10, we're not helping ourselves. We're taking a sack right away. Alvin Fowler dropping back, going backwards 5 yards. He is going to throw this next one over to Najee Davenport, the backup in for Deshaun Foster, bobbling and catching that ball, getting 14 yards, and we just have to hand it out to big Corey Schlesinger, getting 2 yards and what is needed for the first down. But the very next first down, we fumbled the ball again. Luckily, Charles Rogers is on top of that. We bring up a 2nd and 16. Fowler dropping back, throwing that one over the middle for Ben Watson. Gonna get knocked away by the defender. That one is incomplete. 3rd and forever. We step back in shotgun. We see Roy Williams with a step in single coverage. He bobbles that one in the air and pulls it down for a 44-yard gain, bringing the ball up to the St. Louis 30-yard line. Davenport shakes and bakes his way up to the 6-yard line, bringing it up to a 2nd and 4. Davenport going to get the next call as well, getting 2 yards on the tackle from Robert Thomas, but unfortunately, Robert Thomas will be injured on the play. Gonna hop off on the cart, and we do not see him for the rest of the day. So that's going to bring up a 3rd and 2. Schlesinger's gonna get up the middle for just 1 yard, and we decide to go for it. Shout out to the chat in the live stream, encouraging for that 4th and inches, really going for the glory there. We get the 3 yards from Corey Schlesinger. The home crowd is stoked to get it on 4th and inches, and we get that first down on the St. Louis 17, and we are rewarded in the form of some good blocking. Najee Davenport has the open field. That is a 17-yard touchdown on a toss play. We never get anything going on a toss play. So Najee Davenport with some strong blocking in front of him, thanks to Ben Watson and the rest of the offensive line from the Detroit Lions, gets into the end zone. The Lions strike first here at home. We are up by a score of 7-0. And the Rams take right over from their own 32. Bulger finding his tight end, I believe, on that one for a 10-yard gain. The next throw complete to Torrey Holt for 8 yards. The tackle from Dre Bly bringing up a 2nd and 2. Marshall Faulk getting quickly over to his left side, evading some defenders, getting 5 yards over to the left and a first down to the Detroit 45. Bulger finding his other good receiver, Isaac Bruce, over on the right side for 19 yards. Move the chains quickly up to the Detroit 26. We've got Terry Holt, who evades Dre Bly, and he's getting 20 more yards up to the Detroit 6. So I feel like we've just blinked, and the St. Louis Rams are inside of the red zone, inside of goal line territory. Falk getting up the middle for 2 yards. He just needs that next run, getting over Jermaine Hall, who falls over under the shoulder of Marshall Falk. And just like that, although it took up a lot of time on the game clock, in terms of highlights, the Rams just cut through the Detroit Lions defense like hot butter, or hot knife through melted butter. I believe that's what we say. And we're going to get right back into it. Davenport getting some good blocking over to his right side, getting 6 yards on that toss. Fowler going to throw this one up and over to the left side. I remember this in the moment. I didn't see Aeneas Williams, who is blending in with the Lion, like a Lion himself, blending in to his surroundings, and Fowler throws an interception, and the Rams are going to take right back over with great field position. Aeneas Williams dunks that one with a little 360 spin, and we're going to take a look at this one more time. You can see here, he kind of, in my eyes, maybe I need to get my eyes checked, he was blending into the logo there. Right after I threw it, I realized he was back there, and he makes us pay, forcing the turnover, and the Rams take over tied in this one. That first pass from Bulger just getting outside of his receiver's hands. That falls incomplete. 2nd and 10, Bulger dropping back, throwing it to the right side flat, missing Marshall Falk. I don't know why Marshall thought that was his fault. That pass was behind him. 3rd and 10, dropping back. That one's going to be defended beautifully by Fernando Bryant, and the Lions will force the 3 and out as we head into the end of the first quarter. So after one, both teams have found their way into the end zone, and the Lions will take back over in the start of the second quarter with the tie score of 7-7. Davenport running well today, getting 3 yards up the middle on the tackle from Spoon. 2nd and 7, Fowler dropping back, going to get sacked by Leonard Little before he can get the pass away. He's going to move back 3 more yards for a 3rd and 10. 3rd and 10, throwing over the middle. That pass deflected and incomplete. It was dangerously close to another interception, so a pair of 3 and outs for each of these teams, and the Rams are going to take back over at the Detroit 45. Marshall Falk getting the carry, getting a little juke, getting tackled by Sam Hamilton. That's a 7-yard gain. Falk getting another run up the middle. This time Bailey is going to get the tackle from behind. It's still a 2-yard gain, 3rd and 1. Falk is going to get the counter, has some good blocks in front of him. Norris makes the tackle, but that is a first down on the 4-yard gainer. Bulger throwing to Isaac Bruce on the right flat. Norris was there waiting for him, only a 2-yard gain. Bulger dropping back on 2nd down. Throwing it to the right side. It's in the hands of Torrey Holt, but he is out of bounds as he receives it. That's going to bring up 3rd down and 8. Bulger throwing over to the right side. That's going to be Isaac Bruce hauling that one in for 17 yards and a first down. Bulger getting a fresh set of downs, throwing towards the end zone on first down from the 13. That one's going to be incomplete. On the 2nd down, we're going to get a sack from Norris coming through on the linebacker blitz. That's a loss of 4. And then 3rd and 14, Bulger's going to complete that one to Bruce, but no gain on the play thanks to the swift tackle from Chris Cash, and that's going to lead to a 34-yard field goal for the St. Louis Rams. So they get a couple points out of it, but we will take that stop by our defense, and the Lions take over at their own 23. Davenport gets nothing up the middle. We're going to get another step on the defender from Roy Williams, and Magic striking twice on the deep ball from Fowler to Williams. A running theme in this game. That's going to be a 35-yard gain and a first down. Fowler lucky again to have a misplay from the corner on that, finding Derek Hamilton for 9 yards. Didn't call him a rookie this time. Good job by me. Schlesinger getting 3 yards up the middle for the first down. That's bringing up a 1st and 10 from St. Louis's 30. Fowler's going to find Charles Rogers, his first catch of the game. That's going to be 10 yards and another first down up to the St. Louis 20. Fowler throwing deep over the middle for Ben Watson, who bobbles it and does not haul it in. But this time we're going to get a pass interference call in the end zone, called on, I believe it was Aeneas Williams on the coverage, and that's going to bring the ball all the way up to the St. Louis 1-yard line. Now Davenport is going to get called for the touchdown on this play, but inside of the 2-minute warning, the booth is going to review this one, which probably means that the other team would have reviewed it. You can see here that his hand and his butt goes down before the ball crosses the line. So the play is actually reversed by the booth, which means that we have to go after this one more time. So the ruling on the field is overturned, and we're going to have to try it again with 1 minute remaining on the clock. This time we're going to just put it in the hands of Corey Schlesinger, and there's no doubt about this one. He gets into the end zone for the touchdown. I guess that was a ball don't lie situation, even though they reviewed it and technically it was the right call. But Corey Schlesinger is able to punch it through, standing up, not even going to fall to the ground, so no question about that one. And we are going to head into halftime with the Lions up on the St. Louis Rams through 2 quarters by a score of 14-10. So good play from both teams so far in this first half. We will see how they line up stats-wise, and we're going to get right back into into this one. Taking a look at the stats tape, our defense has been showing up, holding them to just 24 rushing yards, 82 passing yards, 106 yards overall. And they have managed those 3 sacks, but we've gotten 1 sack ourselves. We always love to see our defense getting a sack or 2. So we'll see if we can keep up this strong play heading into the second quarter. The Rams, of course, will take over with the ball, and they do start over from their own 32. Bulger passing on first down. That one's going to fall out of Goodspeed's hands. Could not hold on to it on a great tackle from Terrence Holt. There's a Torrey Holt and there's a Terrence Holt. This one's going to be complete to Isaac Bruce. That's a 20-yard gain and a first down. From the 48, Bulger's going to throw it over to the left side, and this time Dre Bly. How often do we get to say that? Dre Bly making the wonderful interception, and on top of that, Torrey Holt got a whole bunch of his face mask when he made the tackle, so that's going to be a full 15-yard penalty on the face mask, bringing us all the way up into St. Louis territory at the 45. Davenport's going to run it up to the right side for 4 yards. That time that tackle is done by Harrison. On the play action pass, Fowler throws it before he gets sacked, but it's just outside of the hands of Corey Schlesinger, falling incomplete. 3rd and 6. Fowler running away from pressure again, throwing it over the middle, but gets hit as he throws. Not swift enough to get the pass off, and they ruin we waste that opportunity from that interception from Dre Bly, and the Rams take over. A good punt from us gets them down to their own 9. Bulger's going to find Bruce on that flat route. It's going to be a 2-yard gain. Bryant making the tackle. Bulger scrambles up the middle for 4 yards, evading any tackle there, and then he's going to find Torrey Holt over on the right side. That's an 8-yard gain, moving the chains up, giving them a little bit of space behind them, allowing for Marshall Faulk to do his thing. I don't want to talk about that missed tackle by me. I was mad enough when it happened. I don't want to talk about it right now, but it's a first down on a 12-yard gain. We're going to look to Bruce on the right side again for a 3-yard gain. Fernando Bryant just racking up tackles, getting tackles on Bruce on those flat yard situations. Bulger's pass is incomplete. Torrey Holt bopples and drops it on that tackle from Dre Bly. Dre Bly playing well today. Who would have thunk it? But on that 3rd down, throwing over to his right side, finding Isaac Bruce between his 2 defenders. That's a 19-yard gain and a first down. 1st and 10 from the Detroit 41. Faulk only getting 1 yard up the middle thanks to Zach Thomas. Throwing left on 2nd down. That one's going to be in between 3 lines defenders and incomplete. 3rd and 9. It's the 3rd down and the 3rd completion for a first down for Mark Bulger, finding Isaac Bruce yet again for a 13-yard gain, and this time Dre Bly is not going to make a good play. You see the missed coverage, you see the missed tackle, and that's all the room that Torrey Holt needs to get himself into the end zone, and just like that, a 27-yard touchdown reception for Torrey Holt, and the Rams are back on top of this one by a score of 17-14. You see the reception right there, the turn and burn from Torrey Holt, and Sam Hamilton is not able to get him before he makes it into the end zone. The Lions will have another chance, and the first play is a good one. Torrey Holt finding Brett Richards over on that fader to the left side. That's a 28-yard gain. Bring us up to the Detroit 45. Davenport going to get some good coverage again from his line. An 8-yard gain over to the right side, bringing up a 2nd and 2, and Davenport gets the 2 that are needed to get us a fresh set of downs. 1st and 10 from the St. Louis 45. Fowler's going to drop back, slinging it over the middle to Roy Williams, who has the reception. It's a 13-yard gain. Move the chains into St. Louis territory. We're up at the 32. Fowler looking left over dangerously for Brett Richards again, kind of in between 2 St. Louis defenders. Lucky that was just falling incomplete. On the play action pass, Fowler looking over the middle once again for Roy Williams, who is all alone, takes a nasty hit on the reception, but Williams has a 19-yard gain and is officially over 1,000 yards for the year. 1st and 10 from the St. Louis 13. Fowler's going to be sacked by Leonard Little, coming screaming from the outside. This is going to lose him 3 yards. Play action pass on the 2nd down, looking over to the left side, just barely missing Roy Williams. That's going to fall incomplete, and it is also going to take us into the 4th quarter. So as we wind into the finale for this first game of 2, the Rams are up 17-14 here in Detroit, with the Lions knocking at the door. 3rd and 13. Fowler's going to look over the middle. He's not seeing what he likes. He just squeaks through the coverage, but he only scrambles for 6 yards on that tackle for Butler. That's going to bring up a 27-yard field goal by Hansen. The kick is up and good, and we are tied 17-17 as we get into this 4th quarter. The first throw from Bulger is complete to Torrey Holt, who slips past Dre Bly for 18 yards, first down at the St. Louis 49. He's going to get another reception to Isaac Bruce, who makes a nice little move into first down territory. 11 yards on the next play. All of a sudden, we're right back into Detroit territory at the 40. Marshall Faulk's going to get the run to the left side, has a couple of good blocks. Torrey Holt, see, I knew I was going to mess that up. Torrance Hill, a place in California. Terrence Holt makes the tackle. I kind of masked the fact that Marshall Faulk just breaks off a big run for 13 yards to get us inside of the red zone, and just like that, we're inside of the 1-yard line. When the Rams offense is clicking, it's almost clicking too fast for me to keep up with. That's a beautiful 17-yard pass from Bulger to Bruce. It's a 17-yard gain, and when you're at the 1-yard line and you got a couple of good blocks, you only need a little bit of work for Marshall Faulk to get into the end zone. For his, I believe his second time today, Marshall Faulk runs into the end zone. That's a 1-yard gain, and just like that, the Lions are down by a touchdown with not a ton of time to go. That first pass from Fowler is incomplete, looking for Charles Rogers deep into double coverage. Davenport's going to get the run here. He's only going to make it 3 yards, and Naeus Williams making a great tackle out of the secondary. 3rd and 7, big play for the Lions, and who else are we looking for but Roy Williams, who is having a big game this game. That's a 17-yard gainer up to the Detroit 45. Incomplete on that pass. We were really trying to make Ben Watson happen, and Ben Watson was not happening for us in this game. Davenport going to get the second down run. Evades a couple of pressures by that run out to the right side, but Harrison is on him after that 4-yard gain. Another 3rd down, another deep ball to Roy Williams, another reception, baby, with the pass interference call, which we were able to decline. That's a 39-yard gain for Roy Williams, who has been our absolute hero so far in this game. We get a chance to tie this one up before the end of this one. The first pass is incomplete, looking over on the left side. The second pass, looking over the middle for Steven Alexander, is incomplete. That brings up a 3rd and 10. Who else are we going to throw it to when we need a big reception? But Roy Williams, and he comes through for us. Big Roy getting the catch for 12 yards into the end zone, tying this one up 24-24. There is still plenty of time for some sort of score to happen for either team, but we have tied this ball game with 3 minutes to go. The Rams taking over from their own 31. That first pass by Bulger, incomplete, falling to the turf. 2nd and 10. Bulger dropping back, looking for one of his receivers, throwing it to the right side. Great defense on the man coverage. At this point, we were just sitting in cover 2 man, making sure they didn't beat us on a single cover situation. And then Terrell Hopkins, our rookie, usually our return man, forces the 3 and out. Great play by the Lions secondary after being absolutely smoked by Torrey Holt and Isaac Bruce for most of the day, and that's going to put the ball back in the Lions' hands, but you don't like to see an immediate loss of downs, bringing up a 2nd and 2. We also missed that pass over to Charles Rogers. That's going to be incomplete. 3rd and 12 now, and honestly, the one thing we needed to not do is throw an interception, and we throw an interception. We hate to see it. Tanoi Samoa, I was so mad that I was going to have to make myself pronounce this, but honestly, this is how you grow. This is how you build character. Tanoi Samoa absolutely steps in front of this one. Beautiful coverage by the middle linebacker, snagging that one out of the air and putting the Rams in beautiful position to win this one. They are all the way up at the Detroit 45. Bulger is going to throw over to the left side, completing that one to Torrey Holt, and Dre Blythe makes a terrible incidental face mask. We're lucky that it was an incidental face mask, but based on that tackle, he just drags him down by the face. So that's an extra 5 yards. We're all the way up at the Detroit 26. Marshall Faulk's going to get the delayed handoff here. He's going to squeak through the line. He's going to get 10 more yards on the tackle from Bly. That's a 1st and 10 at the Detroit 16. So at this point, we're trying to just hold them to 3. We're taking timeouts. We want to just try and give ourselves the best situation. Obviously, if they get into the end zone, that's not good for us. The second run by Marshall Faulk is over to the right side for 2 yards. Bryant makes the tackle. That's a second timeout from Detroit. 3rd and 6, the Rams decide to go with the pass. They sling it to the right side. Good coverage by the Lions defense, and we do force the 4th down, and they do take the 29-yard field goal to kick us up, and the kick is good. So we only need to make it to the field goal if we want to force overtime in this first game of 2. 1st and 10 for the Detroit 22. Fowler's going to throw that one and finally complete one to Rogers. A huge gain of 24 yards, and that's going to move the chain all the way up to the Detroit 46. Fowler's going to find Najee Davenport that time. The tackle made by Little. That's a 6-yard gain. 2nd and 4 from the shotgun. Fowler looking to pass, throwing it over to the left side, just missing his receiver over on the left. Good play on the cornerback side. 3rd and 4, we need this one. And who else do you look to in this game other than Roy Williams? Another 5-yard gain. We take our final timeout right there. We're looking to get ourselves into field goal territory and to try and keep this game alive. 1st down over the middle for Charles Rogers, who makes that play before the defender could. Honestly, I thought we had thrown another pick right when that came out of my hands. 2nd down, looking deep for Steven Alexander, outside of his hands. Again, lucky we didn't get that one picked off. We got another 3rd down and short situation. Fowler looking over the middle. Roy Williams open over the middle. Gets a few extra yards. That's 13 yards. And as the clock winds down, the kick from Hansen from 41 yards away is up and it is through the uprights. So the Lions manage to force overtime at home. And not only do we force overtime at home, we take over with the ball. We make a great pass to Davenport on that left flat, but disaster in the form of offensive holding. Our elite guard, Damian Woody, one of our best overall players, betrays us with an offensive holding call. We'll have to check if he has any virtual wagers on this game after it's over, but we're working from a big deficit. Second and forever, incomplete. Third and forever, looking deep over that middle, incomplete. I believe that was our second and forever, and I just spoiled the third and forever. But third and forever, also incomplete as Fowler rolls out to his right. He had a man open, but he couldn't get the ball off in time. Bangs the turf, and we have to punt this one from terrible field position, so a little bit of a return puts the Rams in great shape. That's a 1st and 10 from our own Detroit 45. That first ball is complete to Torrey Holt, who once again makes Draybot look absolutely silly on the pursuit coverage. Nothing going there. Again, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about how Marshall Faulk just absolutely juked me out of my socks and got the first down on that 4-yard run. Bledger completes that one to Isaac Bruce, who has 11 yards on the great run after the hit, I believe that was. Trey Bly could have played savior, just couldn't intercept that one. We got a 2nd and 10. Isaac's wide open on that coverage miss from Fernando Bryant, and Sam Hamilton makes the tackle, but that's all they need. 26-yard field goal from the Rams, and up is good, is up, and is good, and that's all they needed. They did need overtime, but the St. Louis Rams escape Detroit and Ford Field with the victory. We put our whole into this one. Wording, I'm going to keep it. We put all of our effort into this one, but we could not get out with the victory. It was a valiantly fought game into overtime, so we'll check out those final stats, and we will move on into the next game against, honestly, a huge game against the Minnesota Vikings. That will keep us in the playoff hunt if we can walk away with the victory. So you see here, we did manage to keep somewhat of a clamp on Marshall Faulk, but they did pass much better in that second half as we look at Mark Bulger and Alvin Fowler's performance. A much better performance from Mark Bulger. He was 24 of 39 as we were 16 for 34. He did manage 271 yards to our 295 yards, but that extra interception from Alvin Fowler really hurt us down the stretch. And of course, we did have a pretty strong running day from Najee Davenport, who did manage 54 yards off of 13 carries. Marshall Faulk got 75 off of 14, and of course was able to find the end zone 2 times to Davenport's 1, and Schlesinger did have that little punch in at the goal line to help us get into a position to force overtime. Looking at our receiving core, Roy Williams somehow was the lead guy of everyone. 9 receptions for 197 yards, probably one of the best games we've had with Roy so far. But Isaac Bruce, not only did he catch 12 balls for over 100 yards, he was only targeted 13 times, so only 1 pass that went his way did not go into his hands, so that's very, very impressive work from Isaac Bruce, although Torrey Holt did have the 1 touchdown for the Rams. Looking at defense, Fernando Bryant had his, if Isaac Bruce is going to catch that many balls, he's going to have that many tackles. You can see when we go to assists, Sam Hamilton gets up there with 8 overall, including with Fernando Bryant's 8 overall. And if we're looking at sacks, we did have that 1 sack from Grant Norris. Their line did a little bit of work. Leonard Little had the 2 sacks. Lewis and Pickett also picking up a sack apiece. Dre Bly and Tanoi Samoa had 2 pass deflections, so good job by the middle linebacker on the Rams for getting in that pass game. And of course, Tanoi Samoa, Aeneas Williams, and Dre Bly had the 3 interceptions on the day. So that's going to do it for this week. We'll look at the results from the previous week before we take on the Minnesota Vikings, who, as you can see here, lost another game. They're now at 10-3, so maybe we're going to send them on a little bit of a losing streak if we can get our ish together and see if we can get into the end zone a few more times or play a little bit better defense. We'll take a look at the rest of the conference. Chicago did beat up on Buffalo, which does not help our playoff chances. Kansas City, we're keeping an eye on them, are now 11-2. We can see a few of our other opponents here, or any other opponents here. Looks like that's all teams that either are in our conference or that ones that we are not playing. So we'll move on to those bottom games. You can see that Minnesota beat up on Green Bay in order to go to 10-3 on the year. So they must have lost a game last week, and we didn't see that. So we have 1 more week without Teddy Lehman, a couple more weeks without Azahir Hakeem and Deshaun Foster, and 4 more weeks without Sam Farmer. So I believe we will get Teddy and potentially a couple of other players back before the playoffs come, but we will have to make the playoffs. And actually, I think we'd have to go a couple weeks into the playoffs if we do want to see Sam Farmer again. You'll notice I'm not really talking about the players on the Vikings. I'm just reminding you that they're there, the elite players. We went over these guys a couple of weeks ago. We actually played the Vikings, I believe, a couple of episodes ago. We were able to come away with the victory, so we already went a little bit more in depth about the elite players that they have. I don't believe any of those elite players have changed or gotten hurt, so you can kind of get a little snapshot on where they are stats-wise. Of course, they have Dante Culpepper, they have Michael Bennett, they have Randy Moss, they have a couple of really good offensive linemen, and on the defensive side of the ball, their only elite player is their strong safety, Corey Chavis, but of course Chris Claiborne is going to be a strong presence on that outside linebacker spot. I believe he's sitting at about an 87 overall, probably their second best defender on the team. We will look at their injury report because it is surprisingly just about as long as ours is. So they'll be missing 2 inside linebackers, a fullback, and a tight end. And you can see here it has affected their stats overall a little bit. Again, we surprisingly line up pretty good against this team, or at least not as poorly against this team as I thought we would have. And we do decide to go with the 1999 throwbacks for this one, see if we can sprinkle a little magic, a little variety, a little change up to try and get a little good juju into the house as we head into the then named HHH Metrodome, better known as the Metrodome in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So we're taking on the Minnesota Vikings, the Minnesota Vikings. How many episodes? I feel like I'm going to do that a lot of times. I'm going to play the Vikings. Anyway, we're playing the Vikings. They're 10-3 overall. We are currently 7-6 overall, so this is going to be a really, really big game for us. If we get this win, we will have hit our goal for the season to get 8 wins overall. That was our goal for the season because that was what the game decided for us as we get a 13-yard run or a 13-yard gain on that first pass to Derek Hamilton, and then a 6-yard gain on Najee Davenport, and then a big 33-yard gain from Steven Alexander over the middle. And Alvin Fowler has officially thrown for over 2,000 yards in the year. So good job by a rookie since coming in for Joey Harrington, and just absolutely doing a good job slinging the ball as he gets that 4-yard scramble over the middle. But we definitely want this victory because it'll keep us basically in the playoff race. So we want their 8th win on the season, and we want to stay in the playoff race as we miss that pass to Roy Williams, a rare miss after so many receptions by him in that first game. Hansen steps up. That's a 39-yard field goal. He punches that through, and that's going to be a 3-0 lead here from the Lions. So in these 2 episodes, we've managed to take the lead first, or in these 2 episodes, in these 2 games, in this episode, we've managed to take the lead first. As you see, that 7-yard run by Bennett, followed by a 2-yard run by Bennett, that tackle by Norris and Thomas. On the 3rd down, Bennett gets a 3rd call. He's going to get up the middle for 4 yards. It's a first down up to the Minnesota 33. Bennett's going to run to the left side, but Boss and Bailey is on him, baby. That's a great tackle in the backfield for a 3-yard loss. 2nd and 13, Culpepper completes an absolute, miracle of a catch by the rookie Jamie Guerrero, who I was checking the rosters before the game, and as that 3rd and 1 pass is incomplete, leading to a punt by the Minnesota Vikings, but that miraculous one-handed catch made by Jamie Guerrero, he is 55 overall, and his catch rating is also in the 50s, so many improbabilities in that catch, but we got the ball back regardless. We immediately run backwards 3 yards. Great tackle by Williams. That 2nd down pass is incomplete. And then 3rd and 13, Fowler looking on the right side for Roy Williams, who once again can come up with a pass. We did throw into double coverage, although we technically threw into triple coverage when he made that awesome touchdown pass against our previous opponent, the Rams. I almost forgot who we played already. There's a lot of information going in and out of my brain. As Bennett gets that toss to the right side, he gets loose and gets a 21-yard gain. Terrence Holt saving the touchdown, but that's going to be a first down all the way up into Detroit red zone territory. That's going to be a 12-yard line and 2-yard gain thanks to that tackle from Navarro. 2nd and 8, Bennett gets up the middle for 1 yard. Norris steps up and makes another tackle. 3rd and 7, that's going to be completion over on the left side to one of the backup tight ends that I did not write down the name of. Pearson, our rookie, coming in and making a great tackle. That's going to be a 25-yard field goal by the Minnesota Vikings, and it's going to bring back the 3-3 tie. Davenport managing a 6-yard run over to the right side. Once again, shout out to the person who told me to turbo boost on tosses a little bit more. It did succeed for us more often than it didn't. We get an 11-yard reception by Charles Rogers, and that's going to take us into the 2nd quarter of play. We're tied up with just field goals apiece in this one, 3-3. Fowler throwing a dangerous pass over the middle. Russell making a good play on that ball, bringing up a 2nd and 10. Fowler going to look over to his right side, fires it up to who else but Roy Williams, finally getting a step on his defender, getting a great 35-yard gain, but he is going to be injured on the play, grabbing at that knee. Never a good sign when one of your fast and reliable receivers is grabbing at his knee. He would not return in this game. We are going to hope for something not too serious. Davenport gets up the middle for 2 yards, and Fowler is then going to scramble over to his left side. Can't get away from Johnstone, who manages to sack to pull them back another 2 yards. And then Fowler on the 3rd and 10, once again running away from some pressure, throwing it over to the right side, basically throwing it away, bring up a 4th down. It's going to be a 45-yard field goal this time for Hansen, who kicks it up, and that one is through the uprights. The Lions take the lead again here in Minnesota by a score of 6-3. Culpepper's going to miss that pass to the right side, but we're going to get slapped with a defensive pass interference. That call going against, looks like, Sam Hamilton. Probably a little bit too enthusiastic of some defense against Randy Moss. How can you blame him? He is 100 rated overall. Culpepper missing that first and 10 pass from the Minnesota 45. 2nd and 10, Culpepper is going to find the big boss for 6 yards. Fernando Bryant getting another tackle. 3rd and 4, Culpepper dropping back, finding Randy Moss on a deep hook route. That's an 11-yard gain. Move the chains into Detroit territory up at the 40, and then Culpepper finds Moss all alone. Sam Hamilton and Fernando Bryant miss their tackles, and Randy Moss is gone. That is a 40-yard touchdown reception from Dante Culpepper to Randy Moss. We'll take a look at this one more time. A quick drop back from Culpepper, a quick strike to Randy Moss. The defense doesn't react in time, and when you don't react in time to Randy Moss, he makes you pay. So he streaks into the end zone, and just like that, the Vikings take the lead in this one by a score of 6-10. The Lions taking back over from their own 19-yard line. Davenport getting up the middle for just 2 yards. Henderson is in there on the stop. Schlesinger getting his try, only getting 1 yard on the stop from Johnstone. 3rd and 7, Fowler getting a pass from the shotgun, throwing over the middle to getting deflected by one of those defenders, looking for Derek Hamilton over the middle, and the Lions will punt that one right back to the Vikings on the 3 and out. The Vikings taking over from Lions territory after a good punt return. Bennett getting to the left side on the run. Thomas and Holt get there for the stop. 2nd and 8 for the Lions. Bennett getting up the middle, getting a little bit of breathing room. Sam Hamilton tries to tackle him. Terrence Holt finishes the job. That's a 10-yard gain. Move the chains up to the 36. Culpepper's pass to Moss is incomplete, bringing up a 2nd and 10. Culpepper dropping back to pass again. He throws it over the middle for Marcus Robinson, who dives for the ball and seems to injure himself so badly on the dive that he needs to be taken off on a cart. It's seemingly one of his ligaments exploded as he dove for the ball, so that brings up a 3rd and 10. Culpepper is going to find Randy Moss over the middle. It's a 9-yard gain, but Dre Bly makes the tackle seemingly before the first down line. The referees bring out the chain to check their work, and it is spotted just south of the line, so the Lions defense stands up to hold the Vikings to just a 43-yard field goal where that kick is up, and it's good. So the Vikings extend their lead, but keep it within one score. The score is now 6-13. Davenport not getting the block or the speed he seemed to be getting against the Rams, only getting 1 yard up the middle. Fowler barely gets that pass away before he got sacked by, take your choice, of like 4 different Vikings defenders. We bring up another 3rd and 9, looking bleak for this Lions offense so far, but we managed to complete that one over to Derek Hamilton. The second-year man hauls it in for 19 yards. He starts catching passes. I start remembering that he's a second-yard guy. We throw a second-year guy. We throw a very dangerous pass back across the middle. Once again, very lucky that it's not stolen back by the Minnesota Vikings. Incomplete. 2nd down, throwing it to Derek Hamilton, who drops that one. You're a rookie again, Derek. I guess technically, is it? I think I've maybe posed this before. Is it like Ben Simmons, where if you miss basically the whole season, then you're considered a rookie again? Anyway, Charles Rogers drops that one. It was in his hands. Good defense by a couple of Minnesota Vikings there. And the Lions are not able to make any noise before the half wraps up. So a little bit less of a high-scoring game in this one. Only a score of 6-13. The Vikings are out in front of this one. Lots of field goals, only 1 touchdown so far scored by either team. As you can see, the numbers are kind of translating to the struggles. Only about 130 yards of offense for either team, although we are keeping up with them in some sort, in some way, mostly under the strong passing game that Fowler has been putting up so far, and no turnovers for either team. That's always, you got to win the turnover game if you want to get any chance of winning the game in general. The Vikings do get the ball in the second half. Culpepper throws what seemed to be a neat little receiver screen to Randy Moss. He manages 9 yards out of it, and then Bennett gets the remaining yards and then some to get it to a first down up to the Minnesota 35. Culpepper's going to throw that one to Bennett on the flat. Bryant finishes the job that Norris started. That brings up a 2nd and 6. We're going to pass this one again, and again, Guerrero, the rookie, getting a couple of receptions there. That's a 10-yard gain up to the Minnesota 49. Bennett's going to get up the middle for 3 yards before Norris and Navarro make the tackle. That's going to get us into Detroit territory. We're now at the 2nd and 7. Culpepper's going to be sacked by Zach Thomas. It's a user sack for a loss of 4. Bring up a 3rd and 11. Culpepper looking to pass deep over to the right side in double coverage. Randy Moss, or that wasn't Randy Moss, that was Nate Burleson, who can't make the catch, and that's going to force the Vikings to punt the ball away to the Lions. The ball did touch back into the end zone, which gives us field position at the 20. We throw that, well, it honestly kind of looks like we threw it more to Winfield than anybody else. That one's going to fall incomplete. Davenport's going to get a decent run up the middle for 6 yards, tackled by Corey Chavis. 3rd and 4. Fowler's going to throw it over the middle to Charles Rogers, who has the ball, makes a juke, makes a man miss. That's a 9-yard gain up to the Detroit 35. Fowler's going to throw over the middle to Steven Alexander, who is all alone and hauls it in before he takes the hit. 16-yard gain, 1st down for the Lions. 1st and 10. Davenport rolling over to the right side is going to get a loss of 1 this time. Corey Chavis was right on that one. Fowler looking again over the middle for Steven Alexander, who has the ball. It's an 8-yard gain up to a 3rd and 3 on the tackle from Chris Claiborne. Fowler's looking over to his right side, and this one would have been intercepted if not for the tackle that was laid on by Backus. So our tackle saves the interception. We punt that one away, and the Vikings have to start on their own 7. Bennett gets 5 yards up the middle on that first run. He's going to lose a yard by the great run coverage from Chris Hovan, doing a little damage to his former team. I wonder how he feels about this reception. And then, I mean, honestly, Jarris McIntyre almost ran wholesale into a safety. Dre Bly makes a great tackle for loss. That's going to be credited as an 8-yard loss because it pinned them all the way back in their end zone, and we get the ball with great field position all the way up at the Minnesota 42. Davenport gets 3 yards on that first play to the left side. We get that fade route over to Arnaz Battle stepping in because of the injured Roy Williams, getting a 26-yard gain and a 1st down. Davenport's going to get up the middle and immediately go backwards, 2 yards on that tackle from Chris Claiborne. And we head into the 4th quarter, knocking at the door. Although no scores in that 3rd quarter, we have a chance right here. 1st down over the middle in Charles Rogers' hands, out of Charles Rogers' hands. 3rd down, from the shotgun. Looking over to that left side, that's a bad pass. That was objectively just a bad pass into triple coverage. The Vikings defense does a good job. That's going to bring up a 4th down and a 32-yard field goal by Hansen, and we doinked it. We doinked it off of the right uprights right when I kicked it. I knew that it might have been no good, and it was, in fact, no good. So we had a chance to get it a little bit closer, although it would have been nice to just, get a touchdown in general. But the Vikings take over with the chance to get some clock off and to maybe even get some space between us and them. That completion over to Bennett for 16 yards certainly helps bring it up to the Minnesota 42. Bennett tossed to the left side, only going to get 2 yards on that one. That tackle made by Boss Bailey. And then Culpepper finds Nate Burleson with a step, and Burleson is gone past the 20, 15, 10, but you can see the flag is down on the play. Burleson gets into the end zone, and we were hoping it was a holding call, and bless, it was a holding call. Offensive holding on the Minnesota Vikings quite literally saves the game for us and sends the Vikings all the way down to a 2nd and 8. That pass from Culpepper going to be called incomplete on that reception out of bounds. And then Culpepper decides to bail out and scramble on the 3rd and 18, but I guess he didn't want it bad enough because he slides down just about 4 yards short of the 1st down line. And the Lions have a chance here in this 4th quarter. Fowler's going to complete that one over on the right side. The linebackers of the Vikings pursued much quicker than the ones of the Rams did, as we see just honestly a really dangerous pass over the middle by Fowler. Still learning the ropes a little bit as his rookie, but again, the refs bailing us out. Someone put the inquiry into the league right now. Defensive pass interference is the call on the Vikings. And then we take a shot downfield at Charles Rogers, who steps up in the absence of Roy Williams as a 24-yard reception and a 1st down. Davenport, again, not able to create space. That's a tackle from Claiborne, only a 2-yard gain. Fowler looking over on the left side, cannot find that pass to Davenport on the left flat. Who knows how many yards he would have gained anyway. We need a big play, and a big play we will get. Fowler connects to Derek Hamilton on the single coverage. We saw him streaking down the right side, And let's just call him the second-year man. He's making catches like he's a second-year guy. Derek Hamilton, our trade piece from the San Francisco 49ers. Shout out to San Francisco. Thank you for that and for giving us a draft pick for taking Ty Streets off of our hands. And we get the touchdown to tie this one up. It is officially 13-13, and the Vikings have about 3 minutes to try and get into the end zone. Bennett gets 6 yards on first down. He gets 4 yards on second down. That's going to get them to the first down yard. Culpepper's going to throw this one over the middle. When you throw it to Randy Moss with space, Randy Moss is going to make the catch in space. That's a 30-yard gain. They're all the way up at the Detroit Lions 37. Bennett's going to get up the middle for 5 yards. Grant Norris making the tackle. 2nd and 5. Zach Thomas, a.k.a. me, making a big sack once again, getting it to the 2-minute warning. 3rd and 7. Culpepper dropping back, throwing it over the middle, missing Randy Moss, bouncing off of a Lions defender. And not only do we force that 3rd down punt, we forced them back far enough where they didn't want to take the field goal, so they punted away, and we have a chance to get down the field. Fowler's first pass is incomplete. Fowler's second pass over to the right side finds Charles Rogers, somehow dances inside of the line, and gets 16 yards and a first down. A fantastic play from Charles Rogers right there. But then the incompletion party starts. First and 10, that pass is incomplete. 2nd and 10, throwing it over to the left side. Bad route running by the Lions. Maybe just bad passing by Alvin Fowler. That one's incomplete. 3rd and 10, Fowler dropping back, throwing it over the middle. It was in Brett Richards' hands. All he needed to do was hang on to it, but the hit from Russell forces the incompletion. And for the second game in a row, we are headed to overtime, babies. Bonus football here on this episode, ×2. We head into overtime. This time, we've got an absolute barn burner. Defense, I guess, is the name of the game in this one. The score is 13-13, and the Lions have a chance to put this one away. We get the ball first again, and we immediately run into a brick wall that is the Minnesota Vikings. Fowler doing a little play action, looking for Brett Richards, who does make the catch that time. That's a 14-yard gain and a first down. Davenport getting that toss over to the right side, hitting the Jets, getting 6 yards on the tackle from Corey Chavis. Bring up that 2nd and 4. Fowler dropping back, throwing it over to that flat to Najee Davenport, who gets the yardage needed, stretches out for that 5-yard gain. That's a 1st and 10 from the 45. Fowler looking for something, getting it over the middle to Charles Rogers. 12-yard gain. I wrote that down to 72 in my notes. Good thing I know how to not read when I knew how to not read. Davenport getting up the middle for 3 yards. Davenport getting up the middle, getting 6 yards. The Lions looking like they have some momentum. 3rd and 1. You just need them to fall over the line. And Lyon, the Chris Hovan replacement, makes a huge tackle to stop Corey Schlesinger for no gain. And not only do they get that, we miss our 2nd field goal in a row, just short of the uprights. And if you were on the live stream, you knew that we had actually gotten the max power on that kick. We're going to see this one more time. The kick is up from Jason Hansen, and we quite literally got all of it, and it falls just a foot short of the uprights, and the Vikings have a chance to come back and win this one. The Lions defense needs to do something. That is something. Sam Hamilton stepping up, getting the pass deflection. Incomplete. Culpepper deciding to scramble, bails out, slides it down before the first down line or before he can take a hit, and this time on the throw to the flat, Moss runs backwards, takes the hit from Pearson, technically loses, well no, he gained a yard, but we get the ball back. 1st and 20. 1st and 10 from the 20. Najee Davenport, he uses his shoulder to get across the first down line. That's an 11-yard gain. 1st and 10 from the Detroit 31. Fowler dropping, throwing, gets his pass deflected by Winfield. Luckily, it wasn't worse than that. That brings up a 2nd and 10. Fowler dropping back, throwing it over the middle. Can't find Charles Rogers. Pass incomplete. 3rd and 10. Huge play for the Lions here. We throw it over the middle, just barely finding that window into Charles Rogers. That's a 14-yard gain, and then we immediately move backwards. We take the sack from Kenny Nixon. It's going to be a loss of 7. It had been a while since we had taken a sack. Good job by the offensive line. And then we take another sack by Moore for a loss of 8. So it's 3rd and 25. We throw up an absolute prayer. Charles Rogers has a step. He makes the reception. He gets tackled across the first down line. And you're telling me that there is a chance. That is a 28-yard gain by the Lions. And we have a fresh set of downs. We throw deep over the middle to Steven Alexander, who drops the reception on the hit. Pass is incomplete. 2nd and 10. Fowler throwing again. Just barely dropped by Derek Hamilton. And then that 3rd and 10.
from the 42-yard line. We throw it over to the right side. That one's going to be dropped by Derek Hamilton again. We should have been looking for Charles Rogers, but we don't take the chance on the field goal. We punt it away, and the Vikings take over from their own 14. There's a lot going on in this overtime. We're getting close to the end of the first overtime period. 2nd and 10, Culpepper bailing out, throwing, and it's intercepted by Fernando Bryant. A huge play by our defense to take that ball away, and Culpepper can't believe it. The Vikings faithful can't believe it, and we don't even waste any time here. Fernando Bryant, we're going to waste a little time looking at this one more time. We kind of knew it was going to Randy Moss, and we're just going to pretend like Fernando Bryant knew it was going to Randy Moss too. We were in field goal range. We didn't want to mess with the fates or the gods or whoever you pray to, so we just step up and we strike that thing through the uprights, and we're going to escape out of here with a victory in overtime. So it turns out that the away teams are going to be the overtime winners in these two games, the Rams in the first game and us, the Lions, in the second game, and we managed to get the victory, a huge conference win, to keep us in playoff contention, to get that 8th win on the season, to check off our main goal for the season. So congratulations to us, and we did it all with just 44 rushing yards. So shout out to Fowler and the rest of our receiving team. We will check our injury report before we go. Hopefully the injuries to Roy Williams will not be too devastating to our playoff hopes. We'll take a look at the stats here. We were 20 for 46. Culpepper was only 13 for 25, so good job by our defense there. We threw for 348 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and Culpepper only had 139 yards with 1 touchdown and 1 interception. Looking at the rushing stats, Michael Bennett, 22 attempts, 91 yards. Honestly, could have been way worse considering some of the rushing games that we've given up, especially that we're going to play the Bears again, and they absolutely lit us up on the ground when we played them. And there were no rushing touchdowns for either team. Davenport and Fowler and Schlesinger all didn't really have any kind of rushing stats today. Charles Rogers really stepped up for us, 7 receptions, 114 yards. Derek Hamilton managed 3 for 71. Steven Alexander, 3 for 57. So our guys stepping up in the absence of Roy Williams, who did go out with that injury. Randy Moss got into the end zone, of course, on that 40-yard reception, and Derek Hamilton made that huge deep reception for us. Cliff Claiborne was the leading tackler of the day. Grant Norris got 6 solo tackles, so good job by him. Looks like Fernando Bryant and Terrence Holt, if you're counting assists, had 9 total tackles on the day. So Terrence Holt and the safeties holding it down for us, and the secondary doing a good job as per usual, or at least a good enough job to get us the win. Zach Thomas getting 2 sacks as a linebacker. Those were the only sacks for us. It'd be nice to get our linemen some sacks, but I'm toying around with maybe some slider tweaks to see if that'll help us get a couple more sacks here and there. But we shall see. I'm not changing anything for now because this has been a good challenge for me, especially as you can see we're going to overtime and having challenging games against good teams. And I do think we have improved this roster, even though we are dealing with some injury struggles. So you can see here, we have 2 games left on the season. I think I pretty much, if we win both, we're in. I have to imagine. If we win both of these games, we're in. The Packers having a bad year. The Bears having a good year. They haven't clinched playoffs yet, so not a lot of teams have clinched playoffs on the NFC side. You can see the Vikings are the one team that have clinched for the playoffs, so that loss maybe not as big of a deal for them. You can see the Chiefs have home field advantage already. They've got that bye. Well, maybe not home field advantage, but they got the bye. They're on their way to home field advantage. A couple of other playoff berths on that AFC side. And checking out the NFC playoff picture. So Detroit and Atlanta, we're the only 2 teams that could possibly get in. There used to be more teams down there. I think they only keep teams in there that are in contention. So we're definitely in contention, but we're going to be doing it without the services of one Roy Williams. He is officially out with knee tendonitis for 3 weeks. Maybe that will change before the next 2 games, but as of right now, he is officially out until the playoffs begin. So that's going to do it for this episode of our 2K5 rebuild with the Detroit Lions. Thank you so much for coming out. We do live stream these games, so definitely come and hang out on the live stream against the Green Bay Packers and the Chicago Bears. And of course, if you haven't already and you have gotten this far, smash the like button. Leave me a comment, even if it's just like an emoji of a football or something like that, to help with some engagement on this video. And if you haven't subscribed already, please smash that sub button. We're on our way to 250. We're trying to ultimately get to 500 and 1,000. I'm trying to make this a thing. So if you also like this as a thing and you want to see more of the thing, subscribing is one of the best ways to help support it right now. So thank you so much for being here. This has been PDS 24/7, and we'll see you on the next one.